I just have a few things to kind of update you on, and then I really want to use this time for questions. So, I'm not going to talk very much, and then you all can ask questions. So, the first thing I want to give a little bit of an update on, and I'm going to try to take the opportunity to give updates on this as frequently as I can, is our ERP, our shared services project that we're working on with CNM, Clovis Community College, and not exactly, San Juan is working on the planning part, but they're not going to be in the first wave of the ERP, and then Northern New Mexico College in Espanola. So I want to just kind of clarify a few things, because I would say that if you were not somewhat worried about this, then you didn't really understand the scope of what we're doing. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a way that to let you know that this is a huge project. And so we've been talking about this, and there've been planning conversations going on for at least 3 years. And so at this point, as I told you, we've been working with a consultant for quite some time, and the consultant has helped us really think through what we want this project to be, how we need to get through all of the different phases. And I feel very confident with the group that Campus Works that we've contracted with, so that they're really helping us to really envision what we want. So obviously, that means that there will be a lot of change for every institution. And I would say even for our state and for students too. I mean, the whole point of this is to try to enhance the student experience, make things easier for students, more transparent, all that kind of business. Almost every week, sometimes I think I could honestly say almost every day, somebody says something to me about how or they ask if we could do certain things that generally have some sort of a technical solution behind them. And I don't think I have to explain to you all that I'm probably, my interest in this project is not because I'm so fascinated by the technical part of it that I just can't wait to solve certain problems. But there are a lot of things that we just sort of have to work around or live with or deal with. And it's not just us, it's every college. We've all had Banner for a long time. It's a great product. I don't know what our ERP is going to be. It may, Banner may bid on what we're doing. So I don't know. But there are so many things that we could do better and that we could do differently, that we would almost have to completely redesign what we're doing now to be able to accomplish that. That's not going to happen. So there are a lot of process problems that we're only going to fix essentially by starting over. And I've seen that, across the board. We all have little different issues and everything, but everybody has those issues and they're significant. And the technology that's available to us is just so much better and so much different than it was when we all, adopted something like Banner in, 2005, 6, or whatever it was. So obviously there will be change, and some of that change will be difficult because we'll all have new things that we have to do, and we'll have to get used to new ways of doing things, and that's stressful and exciting. So I understand that, but it's also going to put us in a position to be able to do things that we haven't been able to do. Right now, we have a lot of paper processes, a lot of manual processes. And so what will happen with the new ERP, it's not that we're going to have fewer people or we're going to get rid of people. We're going to allow people to spend more time working on higher level functions. So a lot of the manual stuff that you have to do and a lot of the paper stuff that you have to do will be improved upon and will be a lot more efficient. It will not be so paper dominant. And so those are the kinds of things when I say that there's going to be a lot of change. That's a lot of what I'm talking about. So initially we will have more people working on this project than we have working at the college right now. Part of the money that we have asked the legislature for is to cover temporary hires, so that it's at a certain point we'll have to be running 2 systems, and we don't expect the same people to be running 2 systems that are currently running 1 system. So we'll have other people that are temps that are running mostly the old system as we design the new system. So it will, for a transitional period, require more labor than it does right now, not less. And then the ultimate goal is not to have fewer people; it's to work at a higher level and to be able to do some things that we're not able to really do right now. So more about that as we go on. We're still in the process of working through those processes right now. So there really aren't answers to those questions right now, but a lot of you will be involved. If you have any kind of work involved in student services, you'll probably be brought into meetings where you'll be asked to give your input and work on things. And if you have things that you want to talk about or issues with our current system, bring those forward. Bring those forward because it's now I'm talking about that. So the other thing that I just want to say in regard to change really has to do with addressing some equity issues that we all know exist not only on our campus but on every campus. So when I talk about this, what I'm talking about from a very broad perspective is that I think that it's time for us to really focus on our students that have the fewest resources. So the fewest resources to attend college, the fewest resources to be successful. And instead of us, we work with them and we do a good job working with them, but they really ought to be the focus of what we're doing. And so it's more like a difference in perspective instead of just completely revolutionizing everything that we do. But that will be kind of a different change for us. But that's something that we're working on this through the strategic plan. The action plans are being worked on now. So if you haven't been involved in that yet, you probably will be pretty soon, depending upon which role that you're in. But Julie's working with a lot of people now on getting those action plans ready. The last thing that I just want to mention, and this is just to kind of remind everybody of this, and not that I'm trying to keep throwing this in your face every opportunity I get, but please remember that, as we're working through the whole COVID thing, our student credit hours are still about 22% down for this semester, and we expect that that's probably where we'll probably land for this semester. And that's a brutal hit. We're not the only ones. A lot of people, everybody, as far as I know, is down. I don't know that everybody is down quite that much, but that also gives us an opportunity to look at what we're doing, and we should be looking at what we're doing every day, though, and try to look at how we might make improvements on what we're doing. Again, I really appreciate the outreach to students, the way that faculty have been really rethinking what they're doing and trying to reach out to students and offer their classes in really creative ways. But we still have a ways to go to catch up on where we left off. And so whenever we are allowed to be bringing people back on campus in a more steady fashion, there's no guarantee that people will come back immediately and that we'll be at the level where we were, that we're probably still going to have to work to regain a lot of what we've lost. So challenges in front of us, but I feel like I'm working with probably the cleverest group of people I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And this is going to be an all-out team effort. I'm interested in everybody's ideas. And I appreciate what you all are doing. And I know that it's been really stressful and really difficult, and that we all have those days we're like, ugh, I can't do this one more day. So, go outside and scream or run around the block, as my mother used to always tell me. And do something to kind of recharge yourself. You have to take a little bit of time for yourself, or you probably will, you could lose your mind right now. And reach out to your colleagues and your friends and everything, and try to create that supportive network. If there's anything I can do, please let me know. With that, I think I'm going to stop and let you all start asking questions. And so, Todd, I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute.
Okay, thanks, Becky. So this is the time to warm up your mouse finger. I want to see some yellow hands. Um, and normally I come with a first question ready to kind of get things going, but so I guess I'll do that now. I thought of something. Becky, what's in your conversations kind of on a state level and interactions with state government? What insight can you provide to us just about how you kind of see this year playing out with COVID and vaccination schedules? Of course, recognizing that you don't have, you're not a mind, you're not going to be able to tell where the future is going to go necessarily. But what's some of the feedback you're hearing?
So in terms of vaccination schedules, from what I can see, and obviously, as you said, I don't have a crystal ball or anything. I really feel like New Mexico is doing a good job on this. I know that there are a lot of people who have not been able to get a vaccination yet, and that the Department of Health's portal and their sign up process can be slow, and I know they've had some glitches and everything. But I have relatives in other states who are 80 or older, and they have no idea when they're going to get a vaccine because there's no vaccine in their state. So, they're trying to roll it out as much as they can. There was some initial talk about maybe using the college as a distribution site. I'm not really sure that they're going to do that now. But we've offered to help in any way that we can. If there's any way to get employees vaccinated more quickly, all I can say for sure is that I urge you to get a vaccination if you can, and as soon as you can. So sign up through the Department of Health. And I understand then some providers are going to have vaccinations too. So however you can get one, please try to get one, unless you have some other health concerns where you can't, because I really feel like that's the only way we're going to get ahead of this. As far as the session goes, it is just really odd. And I know it's even odder for people who've been doing this a lot longer than I have, to where everything, we can't go to the Capitol, even if somebody was going to let us through those big fences out there and everything. It's all virtual, so the feedback part is a little bit different. I have my first real hearing for the session Friday afternoon. Senate Finance is going to meet. We have a new chair, so that will all be a little bit different and everything too. But they're going to have the higher education budget hearing for Senate Finance Friday afternoon, starting at 1:30, I think. The budget is better than what they were originally telling us. But now that everyone knows that we are supposed to get a significant amount of federal money to deal with COVID, the legislature has been very keen to know how much we're getting and what we're going to do with it, which makes me kind of nervous, because that generally means that they're going to think that if we're getting money for something, then they don't have to give us money for something else. And so it could mean a reduction in what we were going to get for our state appropriation if they feel like we're going to have things covered with COVID money. So what that means, and from where I sit, is that the COVID money that we're going to get is not just going to be all extra money that we're going to receive for that one time pot of money. Other than that, I think that there's a lot of things seem to be off to kind of a slow start to me. There've been a lot of committee meetings that are just sort of preliminary and figuring out how they're going to get things going, which is kind of typical in a 60-day session too. But we'll see how it goes. I've been able to connect with the legislators so far that I've been trying to reach out to. So I'm optimistic that we will hold our own and still do okay.
And you just met with our Santa Fe delegation of legislators. Was there anything kind of, I guess that would be your second kind of round, with them on an annual meeting type basis, but did you get any feedback that was kind of particularly inspiring or meaningful for you in this cycle?
We have a great group that are our Santa Fe delegation. Senator Rodriguez is the vice chair for Senate Finance, so I think that can only be good for us. She's extremely supportive of Santa Fe Community College. She's very supportive of higher education and education overall, and also, in my experience, very accessible. So I see that as a good thing for us. One of the things that I'm really pleased about is that both the Legislative Finance Committee budget and the executive budgets really didn't have cuts for higher education. And there is a lot of what they're referring to as one-time money this session, a lot more than what they thought. We thought we were going to be way down. So they're not likely to fund recurring expenses, but they are looking at, one-time projects. And I think that's why both of those budgets had our shared services project in there for our colleges at the full amount that we requested. That has not happened previously, so we're pretty optimistic about that. There's a lot that could happen between now and the end of all of this, but I think it looks a lot better than it did before. I know they're going to try to, give a little bit larger increases to public education, and so that sometimes can mean a little bit less for us, but things are looking better, and I am a lot more optimistic. Our legislators seem to be also very willing and able to, to go to bat for us, which is really nice.
Uta, I'm sorry to put you on the spot here, but I wonder if you're here, could you would you join our conversation, and would you and Becky like to provide a little update on the work you're doing with the Fitness Education Center?
I'm sorry. I think who are you asking to talk about the
Uta.
Okay, Uta is in a better position. So we are working to open the pool at the beginning of February, and if Uta's there, she can certainly give more details about what that's going to look like. I know people were disappointed when we opened it up and then closed it right down, pretty much. That was not good, but I feel like we're going to be able to keep it open this time, and gradually get more and more of it open.
Yeah, I agree, Becky. Thank you. We are planning to be open on the 8th of February. Registrations, and that would be just the lab pool. By reservation, people have to sign up with time tab like the October-November go around. And for staff and faculty, it will be free. You can make 3 reservations for a 50-minute time frame at a time. And yeah, that's our first step. We're still dealing with some technical difficulties, but working closely with Palm to have it all resolved. We actually had a lifeguarding class in there, and it went just fine. And it's going to be a similar setup like we had October. I think Kathleen sent out the CRN for the employee fitness. So we'd like you all to sign up for that if you're planning to use the fitness center. And then once you signed up, come next week, you will get an email with the special code that you can sign up for lane time using time tab, the software we'll be using. Does that make sense?
And Uta, I just want to make sure that I'm correct too. And this time we're opening up to the public as well as the college community. Correct. I feel like when you all opened up, when was that? Was it this summer?
It was October, November, late October, early November.
Okay. Well, I try to think about what the weather was like, because that's about the only way I can keep track of time right now, but that's not totally accurate. But the problem, I felt like your protocol were really sound, and there was a lot of effort put into being safe and following the guidelines and everything. And then we opened up and things were going along well. And then the case count in Santa Fe County just got way out of control, and everybody just kind of started closing back down again. And so we followed suit. But in the meantime, your protocol were really sound. And so we don't need to practice this and just let employees in to start with. I think we can go ahead, and we're going to start with just by opening it back up to the general public and let people sign up, and we'll go from there. And then hopefully as people get vaccinated, case counts go down, we'll be able to open up other parts of the fitness center so that we can, let people get back. And it's kind of hard to exercise outside right now.
Yeah, it is. It's all correct, and we're following the Department of Health guidelines, which allows us up to 25% occupancy rate in the pool right now. And we're super conservative with our numbers, 8 swimmers at a time plus 2 lifeguards. So it should just work fine. And the locker rooms, I get questions about that. The locker rooms are still off limits, and especially right now since we have contractors in there doing some of the remodels.
So bring your sweats.
That's right.
Now work clothes.
Thank you, Uta. Right, that's Monday.
Yeah.
That's my Blur's Day wear. So
Yeah.
the
and,
Oxford Dictionary's word of the year, is that right, is now Blur's Day? Because
Yes, it is. And if anybody wants to write in the chat box the CIN, I'm not close to a keyboard right now. It's 31029. That's the CIN for the employee fitness, 31029. And another question I had was whether that would take away from the EEBs. It does not. So this is additional. You can still have your 6 credit hours or the equivalent of CE usage as an EEB.
Good. Thank you all. And thanks again to you and your team, Uta, for being able to get that all figured out and get us ready to go again.
Yeah, it's a team effort, and HR has been really good also getting our employees, the lifeguards, back.
Good.
So has been really positive.
So there's no reason to kind of try to squeeze this out as long as possible. We all have other Zoom or Teams meetings I'm sure we'd rather be in right now. But Becky, do you have anything you want to add? And I'll also ask to the group here, are there's still time to get in some questions if you'd like.
Well, let me just add, Todd, that, there's been so much angst this semester, and it's everybody. I feel it. I feel it. I know everybody that I talk to feels it. And it's been really difficult. It's been almost a year since we had to pretty much close our doors instantly, right before we went to spring break. We shut everything down. We couldn't let anybody on. We didn't have anybody on campus. We eventually, our revenue was just like falling off the cliff because we had auxiliary services and things like that were not able to operate. And we still were paying people to do jobs that couldn't be done, that were dependent upon revenue being brought into the college. And so, it was pretty terrible. We had to let people go at that time and brought many of them back, but not all of them. That was a brutal thing to have to go through. I will have to tell you, that's one of the most difficult things I have done in my work life. And I know that it was, even if you weren't personally affected by it, it's still difficult to have that happen to the people that you've worked with, and to be sitting here thinking, oh my God, am I next? Or what's going on here? How far is this going to go? This is terrible. I know, I understand that. And so, as we've, prepared to withstand some pretty difficult financial circumstances, one of the ironic things is that we have actually saved money by not offering a lot of our services. And part of that is because all of those services generally operate at a deficit. And so we will open them back up, and they will still operate at a deficit, but we will be in a better position to be able to allow that to continue in some ways. And so we're rethinking, how we can do certain things. We have other options for offering some programs that we have. But they're still very necessary and very needed. So, I know that you all have, withstood a lot of uncertainty, and that's a horrible feeling, or at least I think it is. And I don't want to leave you with that anymore. So I just want to say this in regard to our declaration of financial emergency. I think that we are going to leave that in place through the legislative session, because there is still uncertainty with the session. I don't, it looks better right now, but I don't feel confident in saying it's going to be fine, we're going to do great, everything's going to be wonderful. And that's kind of the only mechanism that we have to be able to pull back quickly. So my intent is that when the session goes away, it will go away too. And it's just, kind of there just in case, we're still, but we still have serious financial issues that we have to work through. And so Nick and I are working through a lot of that, and Amy Tilley, and trying to, figure out how we can offset some expenses and some areas where we always run at a deficit, and we can, kind of figure out some different ways to do that where that doesn't happen, because that's not a sustainable type situation. And I want us to be a sustainable college across the board, not just in terms of energy efficiency and non-reliance on the energy grid, but also just to be financially sustainable too. I think, Sahej, I see a little hand now.
Yeah, I put a hand up. So I don't really want to be a party pooper, but I have to ask. I think it's really unlikely that we're going to return to quote unquote normal operations within the next year to 18 months. So, and really maybe longer than that. And I'm wondering if we've given any thought at an organizational level to what our future will look like given the new reality, which we don't really know quite the shape of yet. But I feel like if we're planning eventually to go back to quote unquote normal that we knew pre-March 2020, we're going to end up disappointed. So I'm wondering if we've given any thought to what our new normal is going to look like going forward.
That is a great question, Sahej, and I feel like, as a healthcare person, you have better insight into this than I do. So I'm glad that you brought it up. So yeah, we have talked about it. I think about it all the time. So I don't know when normal is going to be. And you hear people talk all the time about normal not being what we thought of before March of last year. So one of the things that we know is that giant crowds of people are not really very good. We want to be able to have more face-to-face things, not keep everybody so isolated, but that's going to be a gradual return. And I think like what Uta's doing is sort of a precursor to what more and more of us will be doing, where we can kind of bring things back at that low capacity. But one thing that we have learned, and I think we're going to have to reckon with this, and I don't know the answer to it, but we have learned that we can work this way better than we thought we could. And for some people, it's not ideal, and it's not even really very good. And, one thing about all the surveying that we did, I've read every single comment on all of those surveys, and I was kind of surprised that more than half of us said that they preferred working at home. Now, I don't know if that means all the time or not, and I don't know that I think that that's a good idea. But I certainly think that we have options now that we might not have thought we had before. And so I don't see us coming back full force for a long time. And when I say we may not ever come back full force, we may have to come up with some kind of a schedule for a lot of people where, you're in the office 3 days a week or something like that. And we can't all be there the same, it can't be that we're all there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday or something like that. The point would be that we have to stagger our, our time on campus. And I think that's highly likely. And when I think about having meetings in the conference room next to my office or something like that, and cramming 30 people in that room or something, I'm pretty uneasy about it. And I'm probably going to be pretty uneasy about it in 6 months too. Even though, I've had part one of my vaccine, but I don't really think that makes me feel any more confident than I was before. So I think we're going to have to look at gradually coming back. Right now we have some programs are offering instruction on campus. And we have done that, I think, pretty successfully. We've done it in very small numbers. We figured out how to space people apart. And I think we can keep doing that. And even if it may take us a while before we say offer a normal math class or something like that face-to-face on campus, we can start offering ways for our students to be on campus and to at least have, some sort of interaction with other students, with faculty, with other staff, as long as we're following guidelines and keeping people safe. This is being done other places. I think what so far we have not seen is that, they talk about the new strains of the virus that are supposed to be way more contagious. And now they're saying that, they're probably just as deadly, if not more, whatever. And it's not good news either way you look at it. And so what I keep thinking is going to happen is that our case numbers go down like they're going down now, but then they're going to turn around and go back up, because that's what they keep doing. And it seems like until we have that vast majority of the population that's vaccinated, that we're going to keep dealing with this for a very long time. And so we're going to have to figure out how we can work together more, but not fully the way that we did before. There are a lot of ways that we can do things differently that can be very effective. And I think a lot of the things that we're doing now are very effective. It's just that you sort of feel like you're going to lose your mind if you're home by yourself all day long, or you're home with your kids all day long. That might be even way worse. And so some of those things where we have to we have to be able to kind of work together some, but I think Sahej is right that it's not going to be like there's a day in July or something where, okay, everybody gets to come back and it's going to be normal again. I don't think so. And we'll just have to wait and see. But my sense going forward is that what we prepare for is coming back very incrementally and looking at who needs to be on campus. I know some people feel like they have a better setup in their office and they need to do that. That's okay. Maybe other people don't need to be. My dining room table's gotten fairly functional. So we have to think about those things. And we are, so I've talked to Luis about it, so that we have to look at what our HR policies might be going forward when we're not in, what you might call a state of emergency, but really dealing with what we really need to have and what we can allow people to do also, that's going to work for them going forward too. Very good question though.
Thank you, Becky. Megan McGarity.
Thank you. Becky, you just kind of made me think, because we have all of this opportunity for change with, now we've discovered that we can work effectively from home if we don't have small children, and we can do things really differently. And then with the Enterprise Resource System project, we have another opportunity to do business really differently. Just off the top of your head, are there any processes or things in our current world that you see that maybe we could, toss out everything with the kitchen sink and just start fresh? Or I guess that's what I'm wondering is, like, do we have places where we can start fresh, or are we going to try to more slowly evolve and try to, I'm not
so
sure what
there
I'm
is a
asking.
schedule. and so this will give some people they'll be able to breathe a sigh of relief. So the ERP is going to be in a few phases. Obviously you can't just throw all that up in the air at one time and expect people to deal with that. So in the first phase, we'll deal with finance and HR. And I feel like our HR department has done a tremendous job since they've all come on board in getting us through the COVID situation and staying on top of the COVID leave situation and all of that. But I think that we all recognize that there are, and this is due to nobody who works there, nobody who probably even works here at the college now, but the way Banner was configured to start with in HR, and then the fact that we kind of abandoned Banner in HR for a while in HR, we have a lot of opportunities there. And I think that will be, it will be important for our HR people to, to have input and conversations with other HR departments from the colleges that are embarking on this, and to work with consultants and people who really know HR, and not just people who are trying to sell us a system and say, well, this is the way this ERP does HR, so this is the way you all are doing HR right now. That's not what we want. We want to configure from what we know are best practices and things that we want our processes to do that they don't do now. So like I said, a lot of you have told me, why can't we do this? Or why do we do this like that? Or, I've heard someone so-and-so does it that way. These are the things that now we have the opportunity to start working on. So Banner so HR and finance the kickoff will be in August. And then that will be, at least a year-long implementation. And then student will come after that. And student is, of course, the most involved for college, and we see that as something that's going to take a couple of more years, and when you've got the admissions functions and the financial aid functions and the advising functions, and all of those things will have the opportunity for being updated, improved, whatever. I mean, there are some things that we wouldn't want to change. It doesn't mean just because you can change them doesn't mean you should. But everything will be evaluated, and then we can make really clear decisions about whether or not we should or want to change, and figure out how we can go forward like that. But it will start with finance and HR.
Vice President Peters, could I want to say bring you forward or just unmute you? Can I unmute you?
I unmuted myself. Thanks, Todd. I just wanted to take a minute to thank Dean Jenny Landon and Dean Camilla Bustamante for all of their hard work at Santa Fe Community College on behalf of our students. They are retiring as of Friday, and we're going to miss them very much. So everybody give them a woo!
Thanks, Margaret.
Woohoo!
Thanks, Becky.
Thanks,
Thanks, everybody.
I have enjoyed working with Camilla and Jenny so much over the past year and a half or whatever it's been, again, since I never know what month it is until I have to stop and look at the calendar on my wall or someplace. But you all have brought so much to Santa Fe Community College for students and faculty and staff, and done so much for programs in both of your areas that it's going to be impossible to replace you, and we're really, really going to miss you.
Yeah.
Absolutely grateful for having been here. Sincerely, with everything I've got. I love this school. I love you all. Onward to go.
Thanks, Margaret and Becky, for your kind words. And if I say anything else, I'm going to start crying. So I'm going to stop. Thank you all.
That is one of the advantages too about being remote, is that if you start crying or something like that, you can turn your camera off and pull yourself together and mute yourself and scream at somebody, and it doesn't happen. These are things we learned.
Way to blow up the chat there.
I was going to say,
Camilla and Jenny.
Look at the chat, Camilla and Jenny.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I'll miss you all.
Can I also say, in regard to Camilla and Jenny, during this whole COVID thing, I have relied on Camilla and Jenny a lot because, they've been terrific deans in their respective areas, but they also both happen to know a lot about public health and dealing with this, crazy crisis. And so it's been a relief to me in a lot of ways to have such knowledge on our staff, so that as we're trying to figure out what we're doing, I can bounce ideas and suggestions off of people who really know what they're doing. And we're not just so much as like, flying by the seat of our pants and trying to figure out how we need to be taking care of this. But we've had true experts on our staff to help guide us.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
That means the world to me. Really appreciate that.
Sincerely.
Well,
Can I
it's
Becky,
it's-
copy trail?
should we do a group group song with Country Roads or Happy Trails or song of your choice?
It's all right.
Let Camilla sing.
No, don't let Camilla sing.
in their ear to remember,
We'll happily cheer you along if you'd like to lead that.
Until we meet again.
No, please.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
My heart, stop it. Stop it.
So Becky, I'm going to propose that we end on that quote unquote note for this meeting, so-called note.
Note.
So if you're okay with that, I'll let you close.
I want to thank you all for attending today and for tuning in and everything. And again, if you think of something later on, shoot me an email and I'd be happy to answer your question. I feel like so many of my answers to questions right now are, we're going to keep working on it and wait and see, because everything is still so up in the air. And so we've all gotten a lot better, I think, at dealing with ambiguity from day to day, and it's tough, but we can do it. So I just want to thank you all again for all of the work that you've been doing. What you've done normally has been terrific, but you've really, really, really stepped up in this situation. And I'm proud to be here and proud to work with all of you.
Thank you, Becky.
Now Todd's gonna cut us off.
Well, I guess I'm just going to let it ride a little bit. If you all have things you want to put in the chat, I would say no one feel obligated to, leave. But this will conclude the end our conversation with the president meeting. Thanks for your time, everyone. Really grateful. We know you're all super busy.
Thank you, and thanks for doing this, Todd and Megan. Thank you.
Thank you.